that makes a man go crazy every time.
You gotta give him that hook to it and spit on that thing.
I'm gonna come.
What can I say? Bit the cobwebs off this thing.
I'm gonna do it.
No, 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 no.
What is going on, guys? I got to figure out how to get rid of this thing now. Hide. There we go. Perfect. Still got a little bit of boomer in me. So hopefully you guys are all doing well. Kind of a relaxed Friday stream. We got the casting couch up. I am still sweating from earlier from the run, so apologies there. But I figure you guys don't care. I'm going to minimize myself. We're going to look at charts anyways. I do need to pull TradingView up as I was resetting the old laptop here a little bit ago, having some fan issues. But, you know, I bought this MSI roll. I built it about almost 2 years ago. It's been pretty much golden the entire time. And, you know, I'm going to have to probably spend a little money, get some, you know, new fans, but otherwise the computer's been fantastic. So probably do that this upcoming week. I do have some backup computer equipment I can use though. So not a big deal. Yeah, Bitcoin. We talked about last week how we were looking for lower prices still overall, and that if you were to take the trade at $64,000, it would be support, if you guys recall, at the biweekly, which was a very nice touch, really good up to the weekly open, which was the resistance. And then even above that, you just had resistance, you know, basically coming in everywhere. So if we look at the chart, $64,000 here, really, really nice touch. Okay, right here, 64,003 specifically. That was the level I gave. It's the level that, you know, Bitcoin decided to abide by. And then you were looking for the reclaim of the weekly open. But even if you reclaimed it, realistically, you were still looking at a couple of bi-weekly resistances above you. Well, 3 of them in this zone, plus the weekly pivots there. And then above that, you have the gold pocket and a weekly level alongside the 2021 high and some value area highs as well. So the main reason we were looking for lower, though, one, we didn't really care for the order flow that had come in. But 2, if you guys recall, we had pulled this range here, and we were just looking at it overall. We talked about this on Sin City, the breakout, and looking for at least the value area low. Now, I do have a box down here. You can see that it's got my target box is still beneath us. So, you know, am I still expecting lower? As of right now, yes. But we do need to start determining where we at least get bullish in this range if we're not going to take this long. Now, I told you guys this morning in the group, anything below $64,000, which is this level here, I'm looking for longs. There's no reason to look for shorts. If you're looking at this on a 4-hour basis, you can see that you made a low, you swept that low, nice SFP style trade, put in the back test, and then you have now put in potentially a higher low. So you do want to see this continue. However, if it takes this low, there is support just beneath us. So, you know, the trades that are available to you right now are predominantly longs unless we can get a sizable bounce out of this. Now, what we were looking at this morning for those that aren't in the group is we were really just compartmentalizing you know, the weekly range, for instance, is a really, really good one. And I believe the previous day low, I'm gonna actually pull that up. Obviously, the daily open is not accurate anymore. Neither will this previous day low be, but it will be relevant to price action from yesterday as we're doing kind of our recap here. You know, these recaps are meant to be pretty short, but you'll notice that the previous day low, as of 2 hours ago, that was the previous day low, but it's right at that weekly SFP level I gave you guys, 64,540. That's a level I've given in the group for months now, and even on Sin City for public consumption, that this really was kind of the level that you had to be hanging on to. And it was just as soon as we lost it, reclaimed it, now we need to see this level become support. If we come back down here, we want to see it reclaimed. It's just a key level right now. Now, eventually this level will go away. We'll have a new key level, but for right now, it still is very much so in play. And when we look at it on a daily time frame, it's even cleaner. So, you know, levels wise, we're really kind of setting ourselves apart still to this day with probably some of the most accurate and best invalidation points, which I like. And so a lot of you guys have adopted those systems, and I appreciate it. I know Matt is in the chat, and he's a big fan of using SFPs as support and resistance, right? So, getting back to the low time frames. So we know the weekly SFP here, this dotted white line, is super important. And as we started zooming in, looking at things like, for instance, your weekly profile, and I believe the monthly profile was playing an effect as well. We don't want to extend these for this. We just want to put them all the way down to here because it was about 7 a.m. this morning, about right here. You guys can probably hear my neighbors pulling in their loud trucks and bikes because I do have my front door is open because it's cooled off here. It was 92 during the day. It's down under 80 already, which I really like. And we'll have a nice breeze today, so I do want to kind of take advantage of that. So what you'll notice is that you have the weekly value area low and the monthly value area low alongside the weekly SFP, letting you know with the previous day low there that this was probably going to be a rejection zone, at least on the first attempt. It's a good place to start looking for at least an intraday short. In this case, you could have very easily done it. The only thing I would really do in this case is maybe look where our daily pivot is. Obviously, it is right here. So knowing that we were coming up to this region, meaning that we could have used our projection of the daily pivot with this tool. It's available to anyone in the group. So if you're in the group and you don't have it, let me know. We'll make sure that you can download it or get access to it because I believe it is invite only. You could have easily seen that the daily pivot was going to be generating lower and known that we had resistance here that we'd already planned for and that we were looking for that move, right? So the key to this, taking longs out of this region, even though we're still kind of low-key looking for a new low, is to understand that there are intraday trades and compartmentalize that against swing trades. You don't have to close this entire position if you've taken one. Obviously, you want to control risk, but you can find a take profit. And for us, that was coming up into this zone here, and it was a good area. And even on the hourly, not just the 4 hour, you had this nice kind of support that was building. I didn't check the order flow. I really wasn't looking at it too much today. Let's take a peek and see what happened at our lows here if we can. You guys know me. I do live on the volume chart. I don't actually look at much in terms of data otherwise. It's just not my style. I'm going to get rid of the markings for this. And I believe that's our low. Wow. That is our low. Okay. So you don't have any bull div building on this. Wow, there's no absorption here. I mean, you have a ton of OI getting washed. You had a flat OI from right before the dump. You're basically batting zeros across the board. Volatility's incoming, 8.3 off the board, 947. Big influx of open interest at the top of that range before nuking back down to the bottom of it. And now we're getting an increase of OI off the bottom. So OI off the bottom is good. I would expect this to probably come up. I would be looking for something along the lines of the weekly point of control, in my personal opinion. I'd be looking for something in this area. And this is an untapped daily pivot from yesterday. We do track these. So if you guys recall from this morning as well, we turned everything off and we just used the golden ratio and the gold pocket. Okay, so 382 and 618. The 618 is the inverse of 382, so that's why they are both kind of in gold and kind of set themselves apart. But you would say if I reclaim the 382, I'm really not looking at the 50% mark. That is Dow's theory. It's actually not a fib level. I'm really realistically maybe looking at this as an early area to start taking profits as we are coming into a zone that we're interested in between the untapped daily pivot and the point of control. Now, anything above this zone, though, we really do start looking at the idea of maybe just taking this high into the weekly open. That's a conversation for a different trade. That's why you don't want to close everything, right? So using the future pivots tool is going to be key for us. We are coming into the end of the month, so I'm going to turn that on. It will adjust itself here in just a second. And we're going to go ahead and get these extended back to the right so that we can see the data as it's coming in. Okay. So what do you notice? We have shifted down in value area, and we have shifted up, believe it or not, in value area on the monthly, which again, one standard deviation is what it's calculating. So all new price action does kind of start to affect the information that you're perceiving. So for us, when we say take the high into the weekly open, what do you notice is, well, one, your weekly pivot's coming in really close to that weekly point of control, which is nice. And then you can see that these are going to be like your bi-monthly, so 60-day pivot, and your quarterly are coming in at the key level we've kind of given at 64,540. Anything where we start living above this, right? Especially if we claim, the weekly point of control into that gold pocket we talked about, you are looking for a back test of the monthly range at that time. And that's more of a sizable bounce. And at that time, I really would be looking at that as a shortable region for now. We won't know until we're up there and actually have that information. But, once we have it, we can kind of make a plan and start saying, things like, is this area of the chart? Why do I have so many boxes? We're going to get rid of a lot of things on the chart here in just a second. Okay, so we know weekly open's key. Let's get rid of that. We have our gold pocket, but realistically, where are our highs and lows? If we're tracking this, confirmed highs and lows, you could say confirmed high, pseudo confirmed low, and then down. Like, this is a pretty strong downtrend. I would be more apt to trade this on a regression basis, which for June looks like this. We'll go to the hourly again. I would be more apt to trade this on a regression basis, meaning that I'm not looking for an exact high or low. I'm looking more for a trend, and the trend has been down. So this is the regression tool that we use in the group. It's compartmentalized and standardized time. So we're looking for sessions of time with this. And we'd be going from there, essentially trying to say, if we can break this regression, which the weekly open certainly looks like it's there, then I'm probably looking up. Now, the only thing that you don't want to get caught is you have a lot of resistance above you still. There's just a lot of it. And this is an old support zone where we said anything below 64 realistically is support. You just can't justify any shorts at the bottom of the range. But would like to hit the gold pocket if possible, maybe even down a little bit lower. But you don't always get what you want. So, you kind of have to keep your head on a swivel. If we break through that old weekly open, in this case, it'll be previous week open, likely by next week. Yeah, I mean, if it's held as support, while there is resistance here, I'd be looking for that re-challenge of like 69K. And that doesn't actually change the market structure of this asset at all. However, it does start to set things up by the end of the month. If you guys recall, I know you guys do, because you guys are all extra smart and you pay attention to everything we do here. If you recall, we were looking at the end of the month, because not only is it the monthly end, it is also going to be the quarterly and bi-yearly or biannual closure. So 6-month candle, right? Something that we track pretty religiously. I'm gonna get rid of a couple things here. Just don't need those on the chart for right now. And the gold pocket is here, so it's important to note that it is. So keep that in the back of your mind's eye as we go out to the monthly, right? So we're just looking at one level at this point. We're just saying, what would it look like if we closed this month above the 2021 high? It would look pretty good, right, on a monthly basis. Now, if we zoom out even further, how does it look from there? It looks very good on a quarterly basis where we've closed above it. We did give it up, but the buy up back above it by the end of the quarter would look very good. And the 6-month is really the telltale, where you have not actually closed a level above this in terms of a 6-month candle. Now, the only thing to note is that if at the end of the month we are trading below the 65K level, so we were giving 64,540 as the local time frame in terms of low time frame key level. If we're giving up 65K, just from a general market structure and looking at things, it's not going to look the greatest, right? It would look like we're probably going to backfill some of this candle. It doesn't mean that the rally is over, but it does kind of spell that this might not go as far as people think. Now, I do want to kind of talk about time once more. It is in the title of the video, obviously, so we might as well. We had talked about it on the last stream, of course, where we said we had macro time, right? So we were looking at the low here from COVID to the first high, and then project that same length off of the confirmed all-time high. Was very good. Now we are looking for X to D, which is our reversal pattern. And you can see that we have a fib time in July. Okay, that's a big one for me. If we were to take a look at it, I believe it's this one. Yeah, so this is your cycle low at 3K, your 69K high, and then your 15K cycle low. Again, right up with the 50% mark. This little window is where I was looking for there to be a major inflection point in the market. We're halfway through of both time projections in terms of accumulation pattern and cycle pattern. Now, as we look at it, you can see that we have another one coming the week of July 22nd. And we had another one that's going to be coming in just after that in September. So for me, I look at this as probably in July, we start to kind of get an idea of what's going to go down. I think we get some volatility there and maybe resolve this range. And last time we had did something like that, or done something like that, excuse me, was over here. And you can see that this move out of this very long consolidation from the end of April all the way till the third week of July took place right here. Very boring range. I remember trading this. Monthly pivot was super key towards the end, but it did break in July. Okay, so that is something to note, and we do have time basis to say July may be very important. So just something to consider. I just wanted to look at a couple other tools while we're here. Kind of want to see that in log. Not good in log, but let's make this one more. Now that that's for trend, let's take a look at it and modify it. Let's see what it looks like as a, yeah, this would suggest much lower prices, but you can't just go off of one thing. I think if you're going to use this type of a tool with a harmonic, reversal, you're going to go from the beginning of it to the high to the low, and then you're going to project this for symmetry and trend, that if you were to continue the same trajectory that got you this structure, these levels would be respected, which you can see that they are. That's there's actually a book in our Discord, so if you're a member and you aren't reading the books, you probably should be. But this did influence me a little bit on how I do pitchforks. I picked them up early from someone else in 2019, but then there were a couple other ones. Where did it go? Did I not post it? Yeah, there it is. So it's Carolyn Borden and George McLean. He also goes into GAN trading, and then we have all of Scott Carney's harmonic books in there for people to go through, and that's an incredible value by itself. Those are like hundreds of dollars if you were to try to go out and buy them. So I would recommend just downloading them, having them on your phone, your computer, whatever, and definitely going through them over time. So one thing I haven't done is checked in on the chat. So that's the thoughts on Bitcoin. Realistically, we're coming into support. I am looking at this as probably coming lower over time. If we're going to see any kind of a pump back up towards, anywhere in this region, it is going to have to reclaim 64,540. These levels are going to be good, but realistically, I think that we do make a new low still. There's just nothing here that shows me that this is the low. I've been wrong before, but in this case, I would be looking for lower prices to come eventually. That's not the end of the world for Bitcoin. That doesn't mean that this range is resolving. However, I will tell you that in my personal opinion, and it is only my personal opinion, it doesn't mean really anything. These are levels, again, that I've put forth for the entire year. Okay, so these are levels that are good for an entire year. If we cannot reclaim that 64,540, aka 64,990, which is that 6-month SFP right here, we'll get rid of that. So it's a little cleaner. You can also see that you have 65,164, right? So you've got a window there that if this is reclaimed, we can have a pump. Okay. If not, and we start living below this, like come above it, give it up, the next stop is 60K, and anything below 60K, and I'm just realistically, I know 53K is here. I'm looking all the way back down into this blue box. And I think that this resolves to the downside at that time. And that's not the worst thing that could happen to Bitcoin. And the halving also supports it. Showing you when the halving took place, we put our standard deviations in place for the upcoming 4 years in theory. But these have been pretty good as well. So, again, if this level fails, the next level is 55K below this low. And to me, if we're hitting that, obviously there's always the SFP trade, but realistically, I'm just targeting this blue box and maybe even a little bit lower over time. It just kind of depends on what happens in that scenario. So Bitcoin's still range bound. We can't get ahead of ourselves. We can't start looking for this box for, just no reason, but we do need to understand the steps it might take to get there. That's realistically how I look at this. So Bitcoin is easy. I do want to get through Bitcoin though. If there are questions, I'll answer them, of course, but I do want to go through charts that you guys want to see. It looks like Pullman's here. What's up, man? Alato says, I got to watch this back. I got to go to the gym and I'll watch this back. Get your gains, bro. Probably going to go to sideways and move on Monday. You very well could. If you took the long, that was the best trade available. The long was the best trade. So, yeah, you've done well if you took that long. So keep doing that. But let's see. Let's get caught up. Awesome. We're all caught up there. So if you guys want to look at other charts, we certainly can. I put out a Trump video today and really just absolutely fucked up the upload. You are at pretty important support on Trump. Okay. So that is the April high. You have a harmonic that did complete here. It is a hindsight analysis harmonic. It's already completed and it's already hit the X pivot. So this is for anyone that isn't familiar, this is the X pivot here. This is where the pattern starts. Okay, so the pattern goes like this, right? And all we're looking for are convergence of Fibonacci levels. They form specific patterns at times. And statistically speaking, you can take those convergence levels and apply, well, just that statistics to them to get a certain reaction. And Scott Carney is the father of those, and he's kind of done that. He has a software that does it. So, but they can be incredibly powerful to trade because fibs are great. They're one of the oldest styles of trading out there. So for something like this, you would be looking at it as we've hit value very low. We do need to reclaim this area off the support. If we don't, I'm not looking for too much lower, realistically 469 and 458. And that would be the ideal buy area, to be upfront with you. I would love to buy in that region. One thing that's really cool about harmonics too, guys, I'm going to get rid of this, is and let's actually just get rid of everything horizontals and POCs and just leave on the B leg. So what is the B leg for anyone that's curious at home? This is your B leg. So when this pattern formed, what did it do? It formed this base and then it expanded below it eventually. And when it does that, what you're looking to do is take this value for B, which was 85.6%. You're looking for an 886 in this case. So close enough. Now we're looking to say, what was my C leg expansion? It was 50%. And on what this is called as a deep crab, you are looking for 382 to like an 886, So 50% is perfectly acceptable. I would prefer it to be closer to the gold pocket up to 886. Deep ones are really my favorite, but you don't always get that. It is still valid. So you would be looking for the 1618 here. Okay, so that is here, 1618. You have this expansion of this. So if you were to take your fibs and get expansions, right? We'll Bob Ross this together. Okay. Get our expansions pretty close. You can see that you almost hit it. You didn't quite get there, right? So you can see you're very, very close. And then you're looking for it. Man, is it a 200% to 3618? Let's take a look at, if you guys go to harmonictrader.com, by the way, you can get all this information for free. He's got little tutorials and he'll have things like this. This is the actual schematic on that. So I can just paste it onto this chart so you guys can see it side by side. And you can see copyright Harmonic Trader. So, but you can see you're looking for a 200% to 3618, which is, right here. You would then say, I need to see what the 200% and the 3618. So for you would be looking for something like this. I would go 2618. We don't need that. We need the 200%. And I would probably put on something like the 3 spot. And, you could even put on the 3618 to see if it's relevant, which it's not. So you would look at this and say, what makes the most sense? And you would start forming a convergence zone for completion, meaning that if we're expecting a reaction out of this area, we would say that this is probably where we're looking to get some form of a reaction out of this asset. And we certainly have. So You can kind of start ballparking zones of support just based off of that. It's just pattern recognition and expansion rates. It's not that difficult. It really isn't. If you understand how to use the Fibonacci tool, it's pretty easy. One thing you can do with this, though, is you can take it a step further. You can start plotting out like we just did. You can start plotting out where were the pivot points in this pattern that I should be paying attention to. X and B, what does this represent? This represents the base before expansion, what we just started talking about before we talked about how we got to that expansion, right? So we showed you why this area is important. Then we showed you how to get the targets for it. So when you back test it, it's essentially an SR flip. You're back testing the area that basically positions were built up into before expansions into commonly known zones. So we're not trying to predict. These aren't meant to predict anything. These are just trying to give you an idea of where there might be inflection points in the market based on, common participant behaviors based on math. I mean, these are expansion rates. That's all they are. We know that if we see certain expansion rates like this 1,618 and a 2,618 off of this leg and this leg, the market is very symmetrical. So you do need to see a return to the average. And in this case, it's just an SR flip. Another way that you can do this is you can use fibs. You can come in and do a trend-based fib, and you can go from X to A. So we're going from the start of the pattern to the high. And now we're just going to take it all the way to the low. We're just going to take it down. What did you run into? You ran into the golden pocket. Okay. Boom. I'm going to get rid of the 886 just because it's a little cluttered with it on there. And then we have the 100% to 100%. So for anyone that's not tracking, what we're doing is we're taking this high to low, and then we're projecting that fib off of this. So this is 61.8% of this move. So you're looking at things in terms of symmetry. That's what we're using fibs to do here, right? That's why the trend-based tool is very good. That's why they use it, I believe, a lot in Elliott Wave. Not an Elliott Wave guy. I'm actually a huge proponent of not using it, but it is what it is. The one-to-one is also very interesting because then you would be looking at this in terms of where is my overall gold pocket, high to low of this entire move. Where does that come in at? And we'd be looking at it like this, and we would say, man, I've got some great areas to trade. If I missed this bounce and I thought that this price was going to continue lower, I would immediately, only using harmonics, have identified this area. I would have said, I've got my gold pocket coming in between the X and B leg. This is a back test of resistance. I need to be looking for shorts in this region, which would have been the correct play. Doesn't mean it's going to make new lows. It just means I'm looking for shorts here because you certainly can't buy at resistance. I mean, you can. It's just not really an effective way to trade. And then I've got this zone here that if acceptance is found, I am looking at this as potentially an area I'd like to trade. Then you can go and start adding in other things. You just don't want to confuse yourself. Stick to your plan. Where is my, point of control for this range? Okay, great. It's coming in kind of in that same ballpark. So I would be looking at this area with a lot of interest. Yeah. Hopefully that makes sense. So let's see if we have any requests. Oh, I'm glad you like him, Gazgano. In-queue analysis. Nathan is probably the guy that's been in my DMs in Discord. I believe that he is in the group. So I do need to cover this. I said I would and I forgot, and that's on me. It's just, if you DM it to me and you don't put it in the group and tag me, it's less reliable that it's going to get done. Only because in the group it's very public and visible, and that's where I spend most of my time. I don't check my DMs as much as you think. We were looking for shorts here, and we were looking for shorts that never came because we were hoping for a retest of this level into that gold pocket, but we did nail the overall harmonic. We put this forth out here and said this would be the time zone that we hit this zone. Very, very nice. And then if we crossed, what is Rose crossing? We had a Rose alert. Rose USDT, multiple confluence for short. Yes, I know. Alerts log. Huh. Seems like an odd Rose. This is the one we wanted. What was the horizontal ray that we were crossing, I guess? Sorry. Anyways, this one here, again, B leg harmonic, right? Where we were looking to back test because that's where the expansion took place to the upside before this short opportunity. And that's what this box is where we're expecting the pattern to complete to start looking for shorts. And we had key resistance there as well. So it's panned out. But if we lose this area, we have our targets to the downside still. Like very, very simple, very easy to get. Would be very happy with that. So NQ analysis. So let me go to your message because I think that you're the same guy. I have to find it. It's a ways away. Road Glide, Henders, David, Bronco. Where is that? It's Monty. You're Monty, I think. NZD CAD. Is that what you're after? NZD CAD. Can you help me out there? By the way, guys, we have our Ho Ranch koozie. We didn't drink any beers on the last stream, and this is a beer 30 hour. So I am gonna try to get down. This one is a Labatt Blue, and then our backup, because I brought 2 beers to this one, even though we didn't finish one last time, is Beck's. Beck's. Okay, so we're trying to cross all the countries here. We're trying to get Canada and Germany together. What is down in one? Oh, you want me to chug one to make up for it? No, we're not doing that. I'm the missionary position of drinkers when it comes to drinking live on stream. I feel weird doing it as is. So, yeah. Anyways, let's take a look at NZD CAD. Let me make sure that I have the correct. Oh, yeah. Let's use this. Let's use this one. That's a 4X. Is this New Zealand dollar? Okay. New Zealand versus Canadian dollar. Forex.com seems like the best place to go for this. So let's have a look. Going back to 22. Oh, I love this chart. So we're going to probably spend 10 minutes on this, but I am going to build this chart kind of from scratch. I've never looked at this before. So for me, this is actually really interesting. I thoroughly enjoy this. So, straight away, you've got some levels here that we do need to start paying attention to. This one, kind of looks like it could be, but we're going to look at this SFP, and let's get off of that and go to horizontal ray. And this is, a yearly SFP. Okay, so 12M SFP. And I don't know that this is going to let me pull any volume profiles. So this probably will just be a straight up charting video. So if you guys are into just how do I find levels and then looking at things based on market structure, that's probably what this is going to be. We may throw in some pivot analysis, but the thing is we don't have any statistics on those. So there would be a lot of assumptions taking place with that type of analysis. Excuse me. Took a drink of that beer and now I'm already burping. That's why we don't drink and drive here is what we'll call it, because we are driving on YouTube and driving on TradingView. Yeah, 91 cents. You can kind of see what's going on here. You've got competing SFPs between here and here. So we'll get rid of that. I just wanted to highlight it. And actually, I'm going to make this a little bit thicker. And yeah, let's do that because let's make that bigger for people in the back, right? So here we go. Straight away, you've really only got 3 key levels on this chart just looking at the high time frame. So you can say that 82.928 cents is pretty important. Yeah, of course, man. Pose. I assume you mean puss. Max, you can come on here and chug some coffee. I know that you're just getting up. If you're going to talk shit, you could always come on here and back that up. I know you got to put a shirt on and probably do your hair because he's got that Bieber head. But, I did tell him not to worry about Friday nights. That'll be all me. So anyways, back to what we're looking at. We have 3 real key levels if we're just looking at it from a yearly basis. We don't really have anything else to go off of here. So, straight away, I would look at this as a big area for support. That does not necessarily mean it won't break. It just means that we know the best play here is probably not a short. It's probably not. We need to find a bounce in short, if we're going to get one. So let's cruise on out to the 6-month chart, see what we've got. Really nice 6-month range here. So you've been consolidating right here for quite some time. We could include this candle for sure. We could just say that this region of the chart has been a really nice range, and that we would expect to see top side of this, if we were being conservative, would be here. And it's not going to give me the coordinates, but it's 86.05 would be the top side, which would be above our current 6-month high. And then this would be the last year's high. Okay, very good. Very good. So, right away, if it was looking locally, this is what I'd want to see. Now, if we start breaking below this little zone here and we lose that 12 MSFP, especially on a material closure, you close below it on like a quarterly, it's kind of like, well, this is a yearly level, but you've really kind of started to wear your welcome out here. So if you do break below 80, the general consensus for me is going to be much lower. And I would do something as simple as pulling fibs here. I would expect a new low into the gold pocket. Doesn't mean that you're going to break this low and then go even lower. I would just be looking for bounces below the low at 76.256 cents. However, you don't really have that right now. You actually have a nice bounce from support. This is a nice consolidation zone. So in theory, we're looking to retest 86.05 cents. And the thesis that we have now is we have a bunch of local highs here. We've been consolidating quite heavily. This is a good buy up in that instance. Can we hit 91.476 cents? That's a good swing trade. Always front run your levels, of course, but that starts to kind of paint that picture that in my mind, that's probably what I'm looking for. Okay, so again, there's the quarterly chart. We've got a nice quarterly level here. So, it gives us this kind of like easy area to mark off and say that if price does break below this, I am still willing to trade this area of the chart. See, it's a very good area of the chart to be off of as soon as you cracked above it here. Back test. So this would be another area to trade if reached again. So I would treat it as such. I don't know much about this asset in terms of order flow or anything. So it's kind of like, we're really only going off of what I can see locally. So take that with a grain of salt, of course. But 3-month wise, man, this thing has been very range bound. You've got I'm sure people on Forex trade patterns. It seems like they trade a little bit simpler. A lot of, you've got a very simple pattern here. Let's do this. Let's do a fib channel, and then we're gonna get rid of this stuff. We'll just see what we've got here for a second. Yeah, you're at your gold pocket of that. Let's not extend to the left. That's obnoxious. So what do you notice? If we were to use fibs now in terms of, again, trend, in this case, we're just using the low, and this high as our pivot points, meaning that this would be a 100% projection from here to here. If we were to go from here to here, see how that's a 100% projection. So you see how you're getting 100% in terms of price projected off this high, even though we only have one pivot point on that, because we're using fib levels off of the 2 bases here. So very easy to do that. And then you can start adding things like the gold pocket, which has been really good support or resistance, excuse me. You could do it even simpler. You could just turn this into a channel. You could just say, I just want to trade the channel. If we break through this level, I'm looking to run this up to the high. And what is the high? 91.476 cents or 91.476 cents. So as long as you're above these local lows here, this box, I would be looking for opportunities to trade this to 86 cents and then 91 cents respectively. And that could take time. This could push out into next year based on the size of this pattern. But if you start losing these levels, specifically this 12 MSFP, that's going to be your first warning sign. If you break back below about 82 cents, give or take, I guess it's 82.928, so much closer to 83. If you start losing that 83-cent region, you may come back to this lower support, and this may be your next opportunity. However, I kind of would just start looking towards the move into taking these lows, or at least retesting them for my next opportunity for a long. Whereas if I'm looking for a short, this may be the shortable region I'm looking for, is in this region. So, hopefully that is helpful. We didn't get too much into the low time frames, but I'll be upfront with you. I don't really think that's a good idea. And another thing supporting our thesis of this being support is you have a monthly low, SFP of said low, retest of SFP, which are usually pretty good trades, and nice bounces off of that. So what you are going to want to see is this continue to hold above the 12M SFP here at 83 cents. Maybe it wicks below it, but if we're looking at like monthly closures, those are generally good barometers here. If you lose this level on the monthly, I mean, you can see what would happen. You'll probably fill in this candle and back test your support. If you lose this area of the chart, yeah, you're probably gonna retest this low, and it's still support until it's not, in my opinion. If you lose that area though, I mean, yeah, you're probably fucked if you're holding that asset. Sorry for cussing, but yeah. What else you guys got? I haven't actually had anyone ever request a Forex chart on one of these lives, and I don't mind. I do cover the DXY for people when they ask. It's just generally not in live streams. So if you are a Forex guy, we do everything I do applies to Forex as well. I mean, it's just a chart. It's just a chart and candles. So you guys are so quiet. I don't even know how many people are in here. There's 11. It's a sad stream. We'll see if we can even crack 20 on this one. We will get the algorithm working for us soon enough. New channel. All right. If there are no requests, I will just start pulling random altcoins. LDO, you only trade breakouts. I've heard that's the best way to trade, especially if you don't know what you're doing. So keep going. Keep going. I know that we know the same guy, XRP Hank. He is just an absolute maniac and has certainly proven that he is a good breakout trader. So we'll see. LDO. We looked at LDO ages ago. I did a chart build on this one. This is like the leading crypto days from like 2022, I believe. It's either LDO or one of the other L's. May have been LCX. I don't know. 32 drawings kind of seems like it could have been LDO. We've not looked at this one in a long, long time. But so remember how we were talking about we can use, so you guys can't see it, but this was a giant 1-to-1. So, or well, close to it. It's an AB equals CD pattern. So another harmonic, Scott Carney. Again, those books in the group. If you're in there, download them. That's what they're there for. If you're not in the group, join and download them. It would literally be worth the cost just in that alone. So that said, I don't care if you join, download those, and then leave, like whatever. But I would stick around for education at that point. But 1-to-1 into the highs here, very, very good. What did we do? We took a pitchfork, and anytime it's a bearish pattern like this, what I like to do is I turn it into a channel because it looks like a bear flag. If I'm expecting this to come back to the lows, this is the trend I'm looking to project for. So again, we have what? We've used the high of the pattern, the low here at the midpoint, and then the high. And so now we're looking for symmetry in terms of a parallel channel and expression of 100% moves. And what do you notice? You came all the way back down, didn't quite touch it. Just so you guys know, this did front run it just a little bit, but it's pretty close. It's pretty good. And then we ran all the way back to the high side of it. Very, very good. Key level here, back tested, came and just really could have just traded this fork by itself and done very fucking good. But we had 2 levels on the chart. It was a yearly pivot from 2023 and then the 6-month pivot from 2023, which gave us the bounce. Very good bounces off of this level. So really good support all around. In both cases, a little bit of a confluence here. You didn't need to do much. Now, if we start giving this level up, I am realistically looking to probably take this low down at 95 and 86 cents, and then maybe even return to the lows of this pattern. But for right now, if we turn this to log, it's not going to look quite the same. We need to get rid of these two for that. You know, this is not the end of the world in terms of a chart. This is actually higher lows in place as long as we're above $1.50 and $1.57. You start living below $1.57, and I do think that you're going to round trip this to, you know, the 50-cent drawdown. Like, this drawdown does become quite large if you start breaking down from here, right? So you're 35% and then maybe even more over time. This can go quite far, but for right now, structure is not that bad. You do want to see this holding on. So what I would do is I would do a couple different things for this one. I would want to know, A, what does my overall range look like? Because we've been up here since January of 23. So we've been up here for a solid 18 months. Where's my highest point of volume? We are smack dab in it right now. Shocker, right? So we're at the point of control. Generally don't like to trade the POC of the range too much, but it can be done. Sorry, I'm just going to check my phone. Just realized that I've been ignoring it and I have a ton of messages. So apologies in advance. All right. So not a huge proponent of trading this right here. And, you know, it's just, there's not much there. So what we are going to do is, now that we know that's the point of control and that the high here is essentially the value area high, we don't really need to do much else with that. But what we will do is probably zoom out a little bit, put on some fresh levels if we have them, and just see where the key levels are. So straight away, yearly open, anything above that, and I'm expecting to re-challenge this box, probably try to make a new high. As you can see, this has been very, very, very important resistance for 24, 23, and 22. Really, really small window of price here. So we went down to like, let's say a daily. You know, this has been the region that you've been kind of fucking around with on the high time frames, right? What was that? My dog's messing around. So that's actually where we're rejecting from now. Not a great look. It's one thing to note. So back to the yearly, let's take a peek. That is now a yearly level. So we are going to go ahead and just change that to this because we can safely do that now. And we'll go ahead and update the open for 2024 on LDO. I don't know what LDO does, but it doesn't matter. We're just going to chart it. Whoa. My God. We're half a beer in and we can't type. It's great. 2024 open. Really, really good. Let's go to the 6 months, see what we've got. 6 month is pretty aggressive. We've taken the high, but not the low. Not much else to look at there. It does look like you were going to try to put in some form of support there, but we'll take a look in a second. 3 month, again, right here. So what do we notice? That this is the 2023 high, has been SFP'd multiple times and even kind of pseudo back tested. So the level to hold locally is going to be the Q1 low. So I would mark my Q1 low here. I would just say that if price can hold the 2024 low, it would also put us where back above that point of control. If we can hang on to this region, I believe, right? We were talking about it earlier. We were saying that if price can get back into here, you know, above this level, decent things can happen. Obviously, the 2024 open is kind of that key inflection point. But if we get above it, I would expect a back test of this region, which doesn't seem like a lot. But, you know, these are local moves. And this is, you know, 26%. Whereas if you were to hold this here, now it's 50%, it's 18% here for a take profit one, and then 50% to the high. And then if it runs anymore, you can just hold. But I honestly am looking at this and not really expecting all-time highs. Just looking at the chart, looks like it's kind of slowing down a little bit. So I would actually, I'm in favor of this one eventually coming back down. Doesn't mean it's going to like zero or new lows. It just means I think that this ends up filling out a little bit. It's really setting up for it. I've been wrong before though, and we know where I'm wrong, and it is going to be back above that 2024 open, where we'll say, well, price is pretty fucking bullish, and it starts with a quarter one low here. So if you're a little more aggressive, you could certainly use this level. But let's go back to the 3-month and get rid of that fixed range. You could probably mark this as a quarterly level here if you wanted to. I'm not going to. I just don't think we need to. It's a little redundant. To the downside, you don't have any other real key levels. So what I do want to do before we move on is take a gander at the new pivots that have formed. We do need to look at that. Being that it's very, very range bound here, it's probably somewhere in this region just chopping around it, but it doesn't hurt to put it on the chart. Yeah, look at that. It's your yearly pivot. So yearly pivot comes in at the point of control in the quarter one low. If you live above this, you can do what? Try to reclaim the 2024 open. Again, aggressively, this is the area you need to see claimed. Otherwise, this is a short area, and you'd be looking for the backside of the bottom range again. Just, you know, in general. I wonder what this thing's actually got a lot of history. What's the buy yearly? Very good. Very good. All right. Let's do this before we move on, but hopefully that makes sense. So these are the levels to trade off of. The trade setups for me are realistically, if I can get a bounce on this and confirm some support, a nice setup, I would like to trade this to the yearly open and the high. However, if this is lost, you can either A, look for shorts in this region because you know you're at the point of control of the range and that resistance, and try to trade it back down to the low of the range. Or you can look at this as another bounce opportunity. Even if it's a little bit on the weaker side of things, it's still probably going to offer up some form of a trade for you. So no points of control to be had that are naked. And it makes sense. So you got to kind of think about it. Why wouldn't there be a lot of naked point of controls here? Well, we've been very, very range about a lot of overlapping price action here. So most of these are going to be filled in. I was just kind of curious. It didn't go back far enough to kind of like let me know if there were any down here, but there aren't according to this. And let's zoom out a little bit further, see what the quarterly looks like for this asset. Only one you've got is all the way down here at 62 cents. So yeah, in the instance of doomsday and you know everything's going to hell in a handbasket, we lose $1.50. Yeah, 95 cents is there, but then you start looking all the way down to like 62 after that, which not worth talking about because we're nowhere in the realm of possibility of that yet. But if this support goes, that conversation starts to become very, very materialistic in that we should consider it. So keep that in mind. But that's LDO. Above 2024 open conservatively for me, then I'd look for this to re-challenge highs, maybe try to make new ones. But if you're below the quarter one low, which is kind of your aggressive, you know, hey, I'm bullish or bearish, this is where it all starts. Below this level, treat this as for what it is. You know, this is essentially just a giant range, right? So if we're below this level at the point of control, we're trading it back down to here. We lose this level, we know that we have material support down here, or you can try to play an SFP that may occur, even though you've already kind of had one down here, right? You can see that you had a really nice one here and then traded what? You basically just reclaimed the range and rotated it. So, you know, local interior range, I guess, would be the way to word that. But yeah. What else we got? When open mouth thumbnails to boost the algo. I don't know what Gary network is, but if I can get there to it, I definitely will. I think we heard DXY. DXY shouldn't be too difficult. That's a really high time frame chart for us, so we should be able to run through this one pretty quick. This was kind of the short zone we talked about. Definitely hit it. We've definitely hit it off of our, again, just like with CAD, you had a nice little monthly SFP here. So we've got to the monthly time frame. You can see this is your monthly breaker. Boom. See how that could materialize on the chart you were looking at. If just because it looks bad here, it's really retesting this. But as soon as you reclaimed a material level at 102.87, you're off to the first target, you know? So for me, if it's living in this box and pushing the way it is, especially on a monthly candle, I'm probably looking at this as, if there's no rejection here, just to take this overall high. And then comes the question. Then comes the question of, can we hit the gold pocket above that level? Can we go a little bit further to like 108 and 109, which would probably not be good for risk on assets. But it is what it is. So yeah, I'm gonna kill this one. And I appreciate you guys being here on a Friday. You guys could be anywhere, but you are here. All 10 of you chilling with me, even though you don't have to be. But yeah, I mean, this one's really simple. It's just like the New Zealand CAD chart. You lose this monthly breaker, we have support beneath us between 96 and 98. There is support here. Now, the effects of a move like that from 101 to here are really great when it comes to like the economy. It really does kind of fuck things over. In terms of like buying power. That's a lot. It's a big, big difference for us. But on the chart, it doesn't look as much. And that's how, to me, I think you should see it. Like, okay, cool. If we lose this level, I'm just going to trade this box, right? That's probably my next area to trade. Historically speaking, yes. So just like this box here, if lost, well, I need to see what happens at these highs. Can we take these highs? There's a local gold pocket above us. When we did make our overall high, we have a nice low right here from October, Q4, always good to kind of have on the chart. If we go a little bit further with it into the 3-month chart, not going to give us much there. It would just tell us, you know, you're going higher, but I don't really think that's going to happen. I think that you would be looking at this zone. So, you know, you're at resistance on this chart. I'd be cautious on the dollar here, but if it does push through here, which it's trying to, it's certainly a bullish candle. This is certainly not a bad thing if you're bullish on the dollar. You're looking to see if this can take the highs that came in October of 2023. And if it does, you do have resistance here, but can we get into that gold pocket? The only issue I have with this is that, generally speaking, and we know this from crypto and other assets, this is a lot of dead space here. This is a lot of consolidation. So the odds of this coming up here and then, you know, just nuking probably aren't great. But it could come up here and actually push to that 112 level, which would fucking ruin a lot of people's day. So yeah, this one's an interesting chart. Anything above the Q4 and 6-month SFP here around, like, just call it 106. If you can live above 106, things start to look kind of bullish on this asset. And I would be expecting the gold pocket at 108, maybe even as high as 112 over time. Just kind of depends on what happens when we get to this region. I'm not trying to be a fortune teller at all. That's why I'm saying, you know, if then statements, but like, that's kind of how this is we need to know what we're expecting and when we'll change our mind. And in the instance of changing our mind on this one, I would just say, if we give up the weekly low at 105.125, then yeah, I'd look at this to maybe come back down into the support region, and this is a proper rejection, but we're not currently doing that. So this weekly low is in no jeopardy of being taken. And I think that the session is closed, so it's probably not going to be. So we'll have to see how it opens next week. And if it does, and it comes down and loses this level, then sure, we can kind of talk about how this box did end up holding. So yeah, somebody asked for a very obscure coin, Gary Network. Gary reminds me of Team America. I am just going to assume that it's Gary USDT and Gary USD here. I have never heard of this whatsoever. I'm going to cruise through some exchanges, though, to see who has the most history. There's a lot of history on this thing comparative to some of these assets. This thing's been fucking... I will withhold my comments. I'll be nice, but it doesn't look good. I assume you're in America, so we're going to use KuCoin. They look pretty close to the same. So this is a bad chart. It's a fucking real bad chart. Token launches, people buy in, nukes, and then just sideways downtrend. Nothing but weakness in this chart thus far. You've had zero uptrend, actually, outside of this brief moment for these few months, which, if you recall, everything at the beginning of the year in 2022 was what? that is when we made our quarter one low, I believe, at $32,904 on Bitcoin. There you go. There's January, and that is 32,903. I was off by $1. Fuck. Sorry, guys. Pretty close. But yeah. So everything was pretty up only from here till, obviously the 2022 high, putting in a really nice Gartley. And this thing just happened to dump with it because this is June. This is March. Oh man, that thing actually ran kind of hard because June is in the dumps over here. Gary did quite well until July of 2022. Wow. I'm gonna need a bigger drink. In theory, you've been trying to hold this level of support right here on the 3-month chart, which obviously that closes in a few days, I guess, about, 9 days. 2.36 cents would be kind of your area to reclaim if it can. If it can pull up, a lot of that's going to probably depend. I would say depends on the rest of the crypto market, but this thing fucking dumped the entire way through Bitcoin's rally in 2023. So not a good sign if you want my personal opinion, but this one's tough for me because I want to give you analysis on it, but I don't want to at the same time. Not that I don't want to give analysis, that I wouldn't trade this or invest in it personally. It's way too risky for me, and it's such a shitty chart. Like, this thing looks like it's going to zero very quickly. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and it starts putting in higher lows and builds up a range here, and then you can, play the squeeze, and it breaks out and fills in this candle. That could happen, but there's nothing on the chart right now saying that is going to happen. This is very, very bad. Holy fuck. So, straight away, you've got kind of a horizontal level here, I guess. 1.249 cents, so 0.01249 on the chart would be of interest. If you reclaimed your monthly open, specifically this low we identified on the quarterly as well, by the close of June, which is the monthly and quarterly closure, you can see how this starts to kind of maybe look like it wants to stay in this area, and you could do something along these lines probably and just say, well, where is my point of control? Boom. I would be looking for the value area high, which is the back test or resistance. And, that's really not doing anything for you unless it breaks it and makes that move up. So, if you lose 0.01249 in terms of support here at the range lows, which is where realistically you want to be buying, you want to buy at the range low, right? So what did you do? Low, high, back test of the point of control, very clear rejection being sold off into on the monthly time frame. It makes sense to come down to this region. So if you're looking at this asset like you want to buy, I would be patient. I do think you can go lower, or I would buy on a sign of strength, which would just be reclaiming this quarterly low and or the monthly open in the next 9 days. And that's how I would treat it. But I'm not probably going to ever trade something like this. I'm not trying to be rude at all. It's just, there's a lot of coins in this space, and not all of them are the most legitimate. I don't know anything about this. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. So do what you will with that information. How long have we been live? 63 minutes. I usually try to keep these to an hour. So I'll probably jet because I don't see a whole lot of discussion in the chat. This one is not nearly as lit as last week, which is okay. I wore my new favorite hat that I got. It's a workout hat. So these hats, I've got 5 of them now. I really enjoy them. King and Fitch is the company. So some of you guys already know about that because they make low profile ball caps. I have no sponsorship with them, but if you have a pea-sized head like myself, then you guys will appreciate these hats for sure. Somebody asked about merch last week, and believe it or not, kind of working on that. So if you guys are interested in Crypto Hub merch, I know that we don't push the group a lot or anything because that's not really the purpose of these streams. I want to go out there and just kind of give information and interact with you guys. And am looking at some merch for that, and I think they'll be funny. As you guys know, the back of my shirt that I wear on Sin City says size matters, and then it says position in parentheses. It's quite funny. It's one of my favorite shirts, actually. So when Blowfin, so it's actually in the link of the link is actually in the bio of this. So Blowfin, we are going to partner with them. She has been kind enough to say there is a $30 bonus for anyone that just joins and deposits. So you don't got to deposit a ton of money. You get a free $30 voucher to trade. Fees wise, we have it structured right now where she said that on weekends it is 50% off, which kind of sucks because nobody likes to trade the weekends. And I believe it's 0% maker fees at that point. So the maker fees over that time period are pretty good. I would actually need to go to her message and take a gander. She's in the group too. Her name's Annie. I think you could tag her if you really wanted to. A2X, you could go in there and give her some shit. She's very nice. Let's see. Yeah, she's under Annie. She's in a couch where you come in at, I guess. So from the June 17th. So if you wanted to ask her about anything Blowfin can do for us, if you guys want to give them some shit, you know, she's been very, very good about listening to the things that are important to us as traders. I've told her realistically what's most important to us are fees, but also we want an exchange that's transparent. We don't want them to trade with customer funds, and we don't want them to hunt our stop losses. And they've committed to saying they're not going to do that, nor will they go down during volatility. They're really trying to mimic the old school buy bid approach that got a lot of the market share, and they have over 300 assets. So that's my shill on it. I am going to do a comparison video where I take them and like Bing X and the other ones that are out there, and like we just look at them from a spreadsheet standpoint of like what each one has to offer, what boxes need to be checked, and then we'll see who comes out on top. If it's Blowfin and that's who we're partnered with, great. If not, maybe we look at another exchange. We don't know. So, you know, that's a video that we'll probably make, and I'll just make it public because, you know, I mean, it only helps everybody at that point. So, but yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off here. I appreciate you guys tuning in. It is Friday night. I'm kid free, so I'm going to finish my Becks here and probably go to sleep, to be up front with you, because I got some yard work to do tomorrow and I want to get in a run before it gets hot. I've been running in the 90s all week, and I would like to run in the morning this time when it's like 70 degrees instead of, you know, 95. So gonna do that. And if you guys need anything, leave a comment on the video, like the video, all that shit. Join the Discord. Even if you want to join the premium, that's fine. We have a free section, and you can go in there and interact with us when we're watching sporting events. You can interact in the memes section, news, charts. There is a charts section for people that are, you know, in the group that aren't in the Hub Premium side of things. Want you guys to feel welcome and have a good time, because, you know, I've been in a lot of groups over the years, and I've been in some that are like, we're the most professional group and we're going to handle this like business. And I don't really want this to be like that. I want us to handle our business the way I do on the charts, of course, but I want us to have a good time. Let's not get out of control with it or anything. Don't do anything you know you shouldn't do that you wouldn't do at work. But at the same time, I'm, you know, no one's reading your messages and going, man, we're going to kick that guy out. You'd have to say some pretty vulgar stuff like racially insensitive or misogynistic that would get you banned. So, all right, everybody, have a good day. We'll catch you later, and trade safe over